What's going on, YouTube? So I wanted to do my kind of way too early Heisman predictions for 2016. So these are just my odds, my top 10 like best chances to win. And then I'm also going to give you guys 3 dark horses. So go ahead and start with my dark horses, and they're all quarterbacks and guys that for me are obviously long shots right now, but guys that I could easily see easily getting into the spotlight. So first one is the transfer to Michigan, and that is John O'Corn. He transferred from Houston, I believe, this past season, and looks like most likely the starting job is his next year after they graduate Jake Rudock. And there are a few other candidates up for the decision. Michigan is going to be one of the bigger quarterback battles of the offseason, but I definitely give the edge to John O'Corn right now. I think Shane Morris would be the next guy on track to get that starting job, but he hasn't had too much luck while he's been playing in college. So my next dark horse is the Texas A&M transfer from Oklahoma, and that is Trevor Knight. So I'm pretty sure almost everyone that pays any sort of close attention to college football has heard about this transfer. So with the Kyler Murray actually transferred to Oklahoma, and then Trevor Knight transferred to A&M, pretty much works as just a little swap deal that I think could benefit both teams. It's a new direction for Texas A&M to go in. This is they've had, 3 quarterback transfers in the last 2 years. This is now Kenny Hill, Kyle Allen, and Kyler Murray. And obviously, I don't think losing Kyler Murray hurts that bad. I don't think Kyler Murray is a very good quarterback to begin with. I know he was highly touted out of high school, went to one of the best high school in the country, if not the best, in Allen. And I know he's a 5-star recruit, all this stuff, but it just didn't impress me this year. I don't think he impressed a whole lot of people. But I think that Trevor Knight has the chance to be a star at Texas A&M. It's just, there's a lot of unknowns with this. Is Kevin Sumlin going to be able to control a quarterback like Trevor Knight? Is the offense finally going to be able to be consistent? Is Trevor Knight going to be the Sugar Bowl Trevor Knight, or the inconsistent regular season Trevor Knight? So, like I said, he's another dark horse for me. And then the third one is Lamar Jackson, the quarterback out of Louisville. So Lamar Jackson kind of had a breakout, really broke out in the second half of the season. Had a good bowl game against Texas A&M as well in the Music City Bowl. And I think that Lamar Jackson will be leading a very potent Louisville team this next year that will be actually probably a top 25 team heading into this year. Very, very different quarterback from Louisville's past few good quarterbacks. You go back, obviously, to Teddy Bridgewater, pass first quarterback, had a little bit of athleticism, but Teddy Bridgewater was definitely a pass first quarterback, didn't run a whole lot. And then I guess if you want to go all the way back to Brian Brom, I believe that was it, in 2007. Were their last 2 very good quarterbacks. And Lamar Jackson's a very different type. He's a very athletic kid. And if he can develop the way he should be able to this offseason, then he could be a very, very good quarterback this coming year and kind of be a Teddy Bridgewater type hype heading into this season and maybe even future seasons. Alright, so moving to my top 10. Start with number 10. I've got Seth Russell. So I'm going to post the link to the Bovada odds in the description below. That's just the main list the most updated list for Heisman odds for this coming season. And Seth Russell's actually not even on the list, which he's on a lot of Heisman contender lists for this coming year. He's a pretty obvious choice. But I think that leaving Seth Russell off a Heisman odds list for next year, especially outside of the top 15, is kind of a little bit stupid. I think that Seth Russell is going to be one of the best quarterbacks in the country, at least statistics-wise, this coming year. And just the amount of weapons that Baylor has coming back, not just a running back. You think of running back, they got Devin Chafin, Chuck Linwood, and Johnny Jefferson coming back, not to mention, I believe it's Terrence Williams. But they also return Katie Cannon at wide receiver. They do lose a little bit of wide receiver, though. They do lose Jay Lee and Corey Coleman. But like I said, they return quite a few weapons. Yeah, and I think Seth Russell is going to be able to take full advantage. He had a Heisman-type campaign going until he went down with a neck injury. So move on to my number 9. I've got Calvin Ridley. So Calvin Ridley put up some pretty monster stats for his freshman year. I think that moving into next year, he could be even better. If Alabama, probably, I believe it will be Blake Barnett starting at quarterback. If Alabama can progress, or not even progress, just basically be the same on offense they were this year. If Blake Barnett can be the quarterback he's capable of, though, then Calvin Ridley is going to be a very dangerous receiver this year, going to be one of the best receivers in the country. And, I mean, normally there's at least one player on Alabama that's got Heisman-type hype. You could say Bo Scarborough is going to be one of those guys. I mean, even if you want to throw the Heisman hype in Blake Barnett, but normally the Alabama quarterback doesn't get too much Heisman hype, really, since A.J. McCarron. So, I think that Calvin Ridley is the best choice to take here in the top 10. So move on to my number 8, and I've got Josh Rosen. So I'm pretty high on Josh Rosen. I think he's going to have a pretty phenomenal sophomore year. There's some moves that UCLA players made this offseason that I don't really know, or I don't really agree with. Mainly the biggest one being Thomas Duarte leaving for the NFL, UCLA's best receiver, leaving early when he could have boosted his draft stock and played for a Pac-12 title this coming year. But like I said, I think Josh Rosen's going to progress very heavily. I think he's going to lead a very, very good offense behind not just him, but Sosa Jamama. They also lose Paul Perkins, but like I said, Sosa Jamama is probably going to be a very, very, very good running back this year. Alright, so move on to my number 7, and I've got Nick Chubb. So I personally hope, and I think every college football fan does as well, that Nick Chubb comes back just as good, or maybe even better than he was before, which would be scary. Just the running back pool this year is just absolutely loaded. The amount of talent is insane. You just go through the names, just they come into the top of the dome, just in the SEC. I'll just start with the SEC alone. I mean, you got Nick Chubb. They probably have Sony Michel coming back. And then, obviously, you got Bo Scarborough, who's probably going to be a monster at Alabama. You've got Jalen Hurd at Tennessee. You've got, of course, Leonard Fournette. Can't put my finger on it. Anyway, the name was losing the name there. Anyway, there are quite a few running backs just in the SEC coming back this year that will be absolute monsters. But I think Nick Chubb is a guy that is a top 3, maybe top 5 if you really wanted to push it that far, running back in this league, or in this coming year of college football. And I don't know, if Georgia can be successful behind probably will be a new quarterback in Jacob Eason, and then a new coach in Kirby Smart, then it could be a big year for Nick Chubb. Move on to my number 6. I've got Baker Mayfield, the quarterback from OU. So obviously Baker Mayfield had a huge year behind the new air raid offense that OU installed. Lincoln Riley was a very successful offensive coordinator to bring in at OU, and the air raid offense did obviously work very well. Seemed like it was a little bit of a risky move, since you're going with a quarterback that, while he had been successful at Texas Tech, really had never. I guess you didn't know how it was gonna. You didn't know how that test was gonna go this year with Baker Mayfield, and with having such a proven and talented backfield, it seemed like the air raid offense might not have been a good decision. But I mean, obviously you saw the results, and it was. So move on to my number 5, and I've got Dalvin Cook. So again, just another running back that I think will be an absolute monster this year. Had 19 touchdowns, over 1,200 yards last year. Actually, yeah, I think it was above 1,200, and I could see it going even better this year with maybe having a more consistent quarterback behind center. It depends on. Actually, I have no idea who they're going to go with this year. Sean McGuire seems like the pretty obvious choice. But I guess you never know. Sean McGuire still had a little bit of troubles this year. And this seems like a year that Florida State should be contending for a college football playoff. So, like I said, Dalvin Cook's still going to be the focal point of this offense and should have another phenomenal year, being probably the best running back in the ACC. I'm not trying to take anything away from guys like Wayne Gallman and Elijah Hood, but Dalvin Cook's just really on another planet. So move on to my number 3, and I've got Leonard Fournette, the running back from LSU. So Leonard Fournette looked like he was going to run away with the Heisman this year through the first 6-7 games, and then kind of slowed down as time went along. I keep on blaming this on Brandon Harris. I've been pretty brutal to Brandon Harris since the season ended. I haven't given LSU the type of hype that a lot of people have because I don't believe in their passing game enough, even though they bring back a tremendously talented set of receivers this year. If they can get a passing game, and I mean, obviously either way, Leonard Fournette's going to be the focal point of the offense, but if they can get a steady passing game going, if somehow Brandon Harris ends up being a quarterback that they can work under, if they go to another quarterback, whatever it takes to get that passing game working, if that can open up for Leonard Fournette, then I think that would slide him up as the favorite for the Heisman. I think he is the overall best player in college football, but I think he's not obviously he's in a decent situation, but not a great one. So move on to my number 2, and I've got Christian McCaffrey. So number 2 and number 1 are kind of close. Really, Jesus Christ, I completely skipped number 4. Alright, so slide back to number 4 right quick. I got JT Barrett. So JT Barrett and I believe it was Samaje Perine were the two people who, it might not have been as, I think it was JT Barrett and Deshaun Watson that were my 2 guys that I said were going to come down to being the Heisman finalists this past year, and one ended up being true, one ended up not being true. And Christian McCaffrey obviously being the other Heisman finalist along with Derrick Henry and Deshaun Watson. A lot of people think should have won the Heisman this year. Really, I don't think he could have failed with giving out the Heisman this year. Last year, I don't know, it seemed kind of an obvious choice, but this past year, it just seems so close. Either one of these guys, Deshaun Watson, maybe the best player in the country, just precision-wise, and just made Clemson so much better. It's just, it really is just fun to watch Deshaun Watson play. Christian McCaffrey, the all-purpose yardage leader, broke that record after this past season. Hard to not give the Heisman to a guy like that. And then also Derrick Henry, who was just an absolute monster for the national champion. So, like I said, it was hard to pick one this year. But anyway, I don't know how I got back to that from JT Barrett. I need to digress off that. So, JT Barrett is one of the few returning starters for Ohio State this year, and I think they'll be just fine. They do lose Michael Thomas, but I think they do return Jalen Marshall at wide receiver, so I think they'll be fine there. They lose Ezekiel Elliott, but I'll be honest, all I think that Ezekiel Elliott did for JT Barrett stats-wise, it just seemed like it took the spotlight away from him a little bit. If JT Barrett can get some consistency under himself and not get a DUI this year, then I think he'll be just fine. Alright, so move on to, like I said, my number 2, Christian McCaffrey. So, like I said, number 2 and number 1 are kind of interchangeable, as most of you guys probably know who number 1 is now. But, again, a guy that returns this year as really just seems like the entire focal point, excuse me, not just of Stanford's offense, but of the entire Stanford team. Stanford they lose quite a bit this year. I think the biggest loss will be Kevin Hogan. Kevin Hogan was a very, very solid piece for them this past year. Had really his most consistent, best season he has in college. Played for his 3rd Rose Bowl. I think he won all 3 of them. It was insane that a quarterback was able to do that, but I don't think it really matters how much they lose. I think Christian McCaffrey will still be able to find room regardless if it's in the return game or the running game. And I think he'll be able to do fine. A guy that is, again, really, really fun to watch. Low-key speed and just really elusive ability. But like I said, a guy that could, for me, number 2, number 1, you can't really go wrong with either one. So my number 1, though, is Deshaun Watson. I think that he is the favorite coming back for this year. Like I said, if I had to put a label on it, I'd say Deshaun Watson is the favorite coming back. There's too many weapons coming back for Clemson. It's too good a situation, it seems like, for them. With a fully healthy Deshaun Watson, Wayne Gallman coming back another year. They do lose quite a bit on defense, but on offense, I mean, if Deion Kane's able to stay out of trouble, they bring him back. Artavis Scott, Jordan Leggett at tight end, and then obviously their receiver they were missing pretty much the entire year, Mike Williams, still returned the Wayne train too, so Wayne Gallman should be back as well. So a really good situation for Clemson this coming year, and obviously the head of all that is Deshaun Watson, and I think he's the favorite on most Heisman odds list for a good reason. But that concludes my top 10 list with my dark horses listed out as well. So like I said, I'm going to put the Bovada Heisman odds list in the description below. I am also going to put, I believe, the links for my way too early top 25, and then my college football season recap, or actually not that one, my most likely national champions. Basically everything that I've done so far to preview this upcoming season of college football. Still got a while to go, but recruiting signing day is just right around the corner. Then you got spring football, and you got all your preseason hype during the summer. Before you know it, college football will be back. So like I said, that's pretty much it. Wanted to do a video on that a little bit early. I'm probably going to do a video later as the year goes along. I mean, obviously things are going to change, but yeah, that's pretty much it. So yeah, what's going on YouTube? So wanted to do a video that I thought would be kind of obvious to do for my way too early predictions for next year. So I've already done my 2015-2016 season recap, but I also did my way too early rankings for next year. So I wanted to do a video about my championship odds for next year. So this is not necessarily the teams that I think from 1 to 10